Hey everyone, Ian from Eurogamer here, and today I've got a little bit of a different video for you all. Normally I do kind of like scripted videos, but we've been asked to do a video each about something that's like made our year, like either like game of the year or something like that. My game of the year is Doom. Best game of the year by far, much better than any other game that's come out this year. But I decided not to do a video about Doom. I've decided to do a video about the PlayStation VR, that one there. Because while Doom was amazing, and I loved playing through it, PlayStation VR has basically had the biggest impact on me games-wise for a long time. Doom's just another first-person shooter really. It's an awesome one, but PlayStation VR came along and showed me a new way to play games. It made games feel fresh again. It made me feel excited for games again. It made me feel like there was a new frontier really for video games. The hype I felt was like super real. I was super excited for it. Launch day, many of you regular viewers might have seen my PlayStation VR launch day stream and all the trials and tribulations that I went through to get it. I pre-ordered it from Amazon, and of course it took a very long time to arrive, so I started, because I was complaining so much about it on Twitter about how long it was taking to arrive, I decided to live stream my wait on Periscope. Come to me. Come to me. And I sat and filmed my front door for about half an hour on Periscope. And I had, I think there was about 1,400 people watching live, with about 1,000 more people watching after the event. So there was a lot of people excited for PlayStation VR and joining me for my wait. I got bored of filming my door, so I decided to do a Battlefield 1 live stream to pass the time. And about, I don't know, 20 minutes into that, the door knocked. And honest to God, that's the fastest I've ever moved. I shot out the chair, ran downstairs, answered the door, got my PlayStation VR, did a quick unboxing on the stream, and then about an hour later, I went live and live streamed a bunch of launch games for the PlayStation VR. Dickhead. My face. I'm crying in here. I don't know which way's forwards anymore. Now, since it's been out, I've played a load of games. I really like playing PlayStation VR. I love it. So I've spent a lot of money on PlayStation VR games, but I thought I'd go through some of my highlights. Now, first highlight I think I'll talk about is Until Dawn Rush of Blood, which is probably one of my favourite PlayStation VR games at the moment. You'd think some kind of like crazy, spooky, scary roller coaster ride would make you feel sick, but it doesn't. It doesn't make me feel sick at all. It's very scary. It's got some great jump scares, and when I first tried it, especially in my launch day stream, the tracking wasn't working too well on my PlayStation Move controllers, but when I finally stopped streaming and fiddled around with my setup a bit, I got perfect tracking on my PlayStation Move controllers, and it just felt so cool being able to dual wield these guns and shoot things like monsters coming at me, and you could see your arms in shot, and you could hold guns sideways and point and look and fire different ways while you were looking the other way, and so it feels awesome. The Move controllers like vibrate a little bit when you shoot. It looks beautiful as well. So yeah, I really like that one. Definitely worth checking out if you are getting a PlayStation VR for Christmas.
or if you've got one already and you haven't tried it out. Another one that I really liked was Job Simulator. That is a great kind of first experience PlayStation VR game. You are stuck in this little booth. It's either an office booth, a mechanic's booth, kind of a shop, a little with a till in front of you, or a restaurant. And because of the PlayStation's head tracking, because of the way the camera works, you can like move around slightly. It's almost like felt like it was almost like having a mini HTC Vive, because you can move around, you can duck down, you can use the Move controllers to move your arms independently, open cupboards, look in them, look around, and because you're stood up, you really forget that you're not in the real world. There was a point where the door knocked, and I was in this VR world, and I had my 2 controllers in my hands, and there was a table in front of me, which is a virtual reality table, and I got these controllers, and I placed them down on what I thought was, like, my brain told me it was a real table, but of course it wasn't, and they just dropped straight down onto the floor, made a massive bang and made me feel like an idiot. But it was another experience that made me kind of believe that I was in this virtual world. It's great as well. I showed it to my girlfriend's family, her mum and her dad. Both of them were absolutely loving it. They were in hysterics, and it's just a nice kind of, because your movement is yourself. You're not in a car, you're not on a roller coaster track. It's you moving around yourself, so you don't get any nausea. So it's a great starter thing, and it's just so funny, and there's so much personality and little bits to play with. It's a great one if you want a bit of a family experience, I think. I also need to shout out Battlezone, because that is a great multiplayer game which I've done a couple of live streams on. It's very cool having like a full team of mates in virtual reality tanks driving around, cooperating with each other, looking out your tank windows to see your buddies driving by on the side, hearing them call for help and putting your tank into boost and flying off over to save them. It's a great game for multiplayer. I don't think it plays as well in single player, but if you've got a lot of friends with PlayStation VR, it's definitely one of the best multiplayer games to get. What else? Resident Evil 7. I've absolutely fallen in love with that game because of PlayStation VR. It looks so real and it's so creepy, and it's the closest I've ever come to like feeling like I'm actually inside like a horror movie. You've got the 3D sound from your headphones, you've got obviously the 360 degree vision of the world, and it is amazing how detailed the scenery is. I've played a lot of VR games which aren't super detailed graphics wise, but this one, there's so much effort gone into this to making the world that you are in just believable. Even though you might be a little bit scared, I just think it's one of the most realistic kind of experiences that you will get playing PlayStation VR. It's one of the ones that will make you forget that you are, not sat on a sofa, because it's so atmospheric. And of course, I've got to do a quick shout out to Star Wars Battlefront's VR mission, because you're living a childhood dream. Again, the graphics are amazing when you're sat in the cockpit. Everything is so sharp and detailed. I've always dreamt of flying an X-Wing into battle, but it's really weird how actually being inside this cockpit is actually a lot different to how I'd imagined it. It's weird how long the nose cone is for an X-Wing. You don't really think about it, or at least I didn't think about it when I was playing with the toys and stuff and pretending. But when you're actually sat in the cockpit, the nose of the X-Wing is so long, and you suddenly feel like how long and big the X-Wing is, and it feels almost like you're sat in a canoe. It's so long, and it was weird how this is something I'd imagined for such a long time, but PlayStation VR gave me a whole new different angle to look at things. And it's just cool being able to press this button and having the S-foils open and fighting TIE fighters flying around a Star Destroyer. Absolutely love it.
It's great. It's just my problem with it is it's just too short. Hopefully they'll do a bigger experience, and this was just a taster of things to come. But again, it's a great one to show off to friends and family who are maybe a bit like, what's all this VR stuff about then? There are obviously some rubbish games. You know, you always get rubbish launch games. The worst ones I've played, there was one called Ace Banana, which is colourful, but boring and repetitive, like archery game where you fire like plungers at monkeys. Dull. The tracking was pretty dodgy as well. And the other one was called Weeping Doll, which was absolutely terrible, and I'd never recommend anyone spend any money on it. It's a horror game, but it does the impossible by making a virtual reality horror game. Not only not scary, but also really, really, really boring. So don't go near that at all with your PlayStation VR. It's tug.
Where did Ayasa go?
So anyway, now the hype has died down, and we're in the quiet period of Christmas. Probably got no more new PSVR games coming out for a while. What do I think? Well, I'm a little bit concerned. I've got to say, I'm a little bit concerned. The games that I have played and have enjoyed, they all have very limited lifespans. Batman, very good game. Play through it twice, you'll never touch it again. Battlezone, you get a bit more replayability with it, but again, kind of seems a little bit samey. Star Wars Battlefront VR, played through it twice, loved it, but it's the same linear story all the way through, so, you know, I'm probably only going to whip it out now for people who come to visit and want to try out PlayStation VR. What I really want is, like, some bigger, longer experiences, some games that I can really get super lost in. We're going to have that with Resident Evil, hopefully. That's going to be a big full game, so fingers crossed that's going to be one to look out for. We've got Farpoint coming up, which I don't know too much about, but it looks promising. And then, really, there's, off the top of my head, there's nothing I can think of that's going to be a huge kind of immersive gaming experience. There's games with PlayStation VR functionality coming out, like Ace Combat and Gran Turismo, but I really want there to be some, I don't know, just some meatier games rather than experiences. I was quite disappointed by PSX, the PlayStation conference they did not too long ago, because they just they sidelined PlayStation VR, in my opinion. I'm a massive early adopter. I paid 350 quid. I really want to play more games in PlayStation VR, and for Sony to just go, we got this game's going to have some PSVR, this game's going to have a bit of PSVR. Here's a montage of some PSVR games. We're not going to go into them, we're just going to show you a montage and move on. For me, that felt a little bit like a slap in the face. I was hoping, it's a new big bit of kit. I was hoping they'd push it more. I was hoping they'd give a couple of big looks at some upcoming games rather than just show us a montage and then move on to the next game trailer. So I'm just hoping that Sony support it more, and that there are some hidden big games coming up in 2017 that make my purchase worthwhile, because the last thing I want is for it to become another PlayStation Vita. The PlayStation Vita is an awesome bit of kit, it's really cool, but it just wasn't supported by Sony like I think it should have been, and that PSX got me a little bit worried about the future for PlayStation VR, because I really want it to succeed. I want more PlayStation VR games in my living room. I want to invite more of my family around to try it out. I love watching people play it. It's like having a little theme park or a little arcade in my house. It's a little experiences that people can come in and we play, and it's bite-sized chunks of entertainment, and it's awesome, but how long am I gonna want to keep spending 15 to 25 quid on 10-minute experiences before I get sick? I don't know, but I really want there to be some extra meaty, like big campaigns and just tailored experiences to justify my purchase. And, you know, is that going to happen? Who knows? But fingers crossed, 2017 will be the year of VR. But yeah, PlayStation VR was definitely, I think, my highlight of 2016 in terms of just making me excited about video games again and giving me a fresh perspective on everything. If you enjoyed PlayStation VR, then let me know your favourites in the comments below. If you think it's rubbish, if you think it's not going to succeed, let us know in the comments below. You know, everyone's got different opinions. But yeah, those were my opinions. And I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm going to be off now over Christmas, but I'll be back in the new year with plenty more videos alongside Chris, Aoife and Johnny. So all of you out there, have a great Christmas, and I'll see you in the new year. Goodbye. I'm in the Matrix.